one of the things I regret doing on this platform is talking about how much safer I felt hooking up with Frenchmen than men back in the US. Now, I don't regret it because it's not true. I felt way safer here. There's not pew-pews everywhere. There's not, I don't know. I just don't find on the surface it to be as outright violent. I don't know. There's just, the toxic masculinity is different here. It's not as, he's like done. Like the Frenchmen are, not all, but in my experience, in general, there's like, and there's not all these rules around, like, they wear scarves, okay? Men in the US a lot of times are so homophobic, they won't wear a scarf because they think it looks gay. Some of them are police themselves so much they won't eat bananas in public or ice cream or anything because God forbid anyone think that maybe they're fantasizing about being, you know what I mean? Like, just the rules around, like, the toxic masculinity is so extreme in the US. And, you know, I personally believe that the violence is worse in the US. But, we've already seen with this whole Giselle case and the husband who had his wife gang raped by, like, 100 dudes in town, that, like, it's not really any different here. It just may look different. The details are different. Maybe the extremity is a little, like, the extremeness of it is different, but actually maybe not at all. But the reason, so it's not that I still don't believe a lot of things I said. However, one of my mutuals, G, who I'm going to tag and who's going to be on my live this Thursday, talking about her experiences as an immigrant, you know, American immigrant, a black woman, as a mother, and of, you know, kids who are being raised in Italy, as a traveler, so many things. She's done so many amazing things. And one of the things that I've learned from her, among many things, because I learned so much from her, and that's why I don't tend to follow people who do content who are like, you know, US Americans living somewhere else who are like, oh my God, my life's amazing. It's usually BS. Sorry, but like, I get it. That's like their shtick or whatever. But like, a lot of those women, as G also taught me, a lot of the women are just doubling down on their delusional life because they've been here so long, they can't go back. So they have to really fully commit to like, well, I'm here and I love it. But a lot of women aren't. If you are joined any of these Facebook groups for expats and immigrants, I don't call myself an expat for many reasons, but I'm also immigrated here and plan to stay here. I'm not just temporarily here, although I don't really like the word expat in general. I am an immigrant and planned on being one since the day I got here. And one thing you find in those groups is that a lot of these women are miserable. They're absolutely miserable and they're stuck. They have no way out because of the Hague Convention. If you don't know what that is and you ever dating a man not from your country, you better look that thing up because you will understand that you will be charged with kidnapping if you leave that country with his children because he has dibs on those kids if they're born in his country. And he's probably not going to let you take them. You know what I mean? And his family will definitely not let him take their grandbabies. So anyway, there's so many laws. I mean, these laws that take place, these laws are everywhere. In the US, you can't even leave a county or a state a lot of times if you have, this is why having babies with a man is so dangerous because they can screw your life so much because they'll just use the law and immigration and all these other things and the courts to further abuse you. Doesn't mean there's no way out. G actually talks about ways that you can try to get around this, but it's just really hard. One of the things that she helped me see is that a lot of the women who are just, again, I'm not saying that every woman who talks about like liking their life abroad is miserable. I'm just saying that a lot of women who only talk about that the same way a lot of the, like I just look at that as like a trad wife account a lot of times. If they're not talking about how hard it is ever, they're probably just like the stupid ballerina farm stuff. I love my life, right? And then they sell a lot of women on this fantasy of, oh, if I move to France, oh, free healthcare, beautiful French men, like they're so romantic, and you know, first of all, that is not the reality. It is so hard to immigrate. Even if you have passport privilege, white privilege, an able-bodied, cishet white woman like me, it is still so hard to immigrate to another country with all that privilege. okay? Making friends is hard. Learning the language is hard. Integrating the culture is hard. Being away from your family, your culture, your language for, I don't know, ever is also hard. And I actually really do love my life here, but I'm very open about the things that I find challenging, that are hard. And I think the only reason why I made it here is because I had traveled so much and I'd actually lived in other countries before for a short period of time. So I knew more or less what to expect, rather than being like, oh my God, this is so hard. And I also moved here for me, not a man. I moved here for me. I did it all on my own. I built my community. And then I met a man who I loved. And so I just continued to stay here. But I was going to continue to stay here without him, right? So my immigration status is not tied to him in terms of like babies, or I mean, it's tied to him with marriage. But I have my own money. I have all these things set up so that at the end of the day, if I want to peace out, I can. And that gives me freedom. That gives me, that helps me actually fully further commit to being here, because I have emergency plan there, where instead of being like, oh, whatever, I'll figure it out. Don't do that. Don't do that. And so I'm choosing to be here every day because I have that choice. I can fully commit to being here because I'm not stuck, right? I have all these protections in place. And I was single for most of my life until I was 42. So I am very comfortable being single and doing my own thing. But one of the things that G talks about that I hadn't thought about, and so it's not that I regret the things I said, but I wish I'd add this nuance. And that is that even though I may have felt safer with certain men, because the violence in the United States, I mean, it's part of our history. We're literally a country built on genocide and chattel slavery. I mean, that's our foundation. You know what I mean? Like, the foundation is that. And it, just the same stuff, it's just repackaged, basically. That I just really didn't want anything to do with U.S. American men, and also because they're so easily can access weapons and all this other stuff. But what I really didn't take into account was all these hookups with all these French men. I have a very strong connection to my intuition, and because I had worked so hard at like being ruthlessly blocking men, like seeing red flags, all that I had learned to do in my own language, I am sure I missed a lot of red flags here, because so many red flags in men come in the details, in the subtle forms, right? Like, some of these men that I hooked up with may have been negging me without me even knowing. Now, I wasn't really dating any of these men. I only dated a couple French men before I met my husband. It was just like hookups and all good fun. But as G talks about, a lot of women will come to Italy, for instance, where she lives, and they'll think that all these men are being so romantic, and they just and they're literally catcalling. You know what I mean? All these things that a lot of women who come here think are like romantic or this or that, they're not. They're actually very violent, right? And then you're in a country where if you think that you're going to freeze or fawn or one of those things, possibly when you're in like an essay situation, try doing that when you can't even use language, right? You can't understand what they're saying, and you can't even find the words. I am telling you, no matter how good your French is, or whatever language, if you are in an emergency situation, a lot of times that's the first thing to go, right? My husband was in the hospital, like in the ER, by ambulance, and I couldn't even say my address. I couldn't think of the number. I couldn't think of, when I was giving birth dates, phone numbers, like when I was giving addresses, when I was giving all this, I couldn't think of the numbers. I think the numbers are really weird here, because it's like 20 plus 4 times 20 plus 10. It's like weird, like you have to do math just to say a number, whatever. But all these situations that I would have been able to handle just fine in my own country, I will not handle well here. So even if the men that I engaged with were like lovely and ate my a lot, which they did, and there's none of the situations where I ever felt in danger, but at the same time, maybe I was in danger, didn't even know it, because I didn't hear or understand a subtle red flag. So the point of this is, please do not romanticize groups of men in other countries. It is all men everywhere, that you need to be aware of how dangerous they are and how many of them want to cause harm to you and how many of them will cause harm even if they don't want to and are an unintentional grapist like they're trying to say in this stupid French tribe. So be careful out there. Don't assume you're safe just because you don't understand what they're saying.
Welcome to the comment song where I show photos of random stuff. Today it's Mose in his little nest, laying all weird like I don't even know what. Anyway, that is all for today, 'cause I have a live tonight. Maybe it's too late and it's Friday now, but anyway, come meet G. Follow her hit on YouTube and see she's super cool and has lots of stuff too. This is not a song. Oh my God, what am I doing? Anyway, come to my live tonight, but it's okay if you can't or afford it, 'cause I will show an edited version later on for everybody. But if you want to come, just join my Patreon, second or top 2 tiers, and be there with us. Also, October, I forget the day, in a couple weeks, I got the Larry Nassar, the lawyer who took Larry Nassar down. I can't wait to do it. That one or this one or all of my lives, they're super fun. Super fun. Are you done typing your comment now? Maybe it's distracting to listen to me sing BS melodies and I suck at it, but maybe it's fun for you, it's fun for me. Let me know if you heard the comment song and join my live if you can, and have a great day. Bye-bye. Bye-bye from me, Mose and Anthony, and everybody here. Bye. Let me know if you heard this. Bye.